Sup, fucker?
How the hell are ya?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great, actually.
Same.
Yeah, it's been some busy last couple weeks, man.
It has been. Strangely.
Yeah. I feel like I've just been running and running. But now that we have a little time to breathe here, let's get into some freestyling.
Freestyle it. Just open conversation.
Yeah, it's, so yeah, I was kind of, when you said if you want to freestyle or do some music stuff, I was like, oh, dude, I'm cool with either one. But yeah, I went to the gym this morning and fucking was listening, because I usually listen to podcasts when I'm at the gym, but this morning I turned on some music, and I've been listening to Coast Contra. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
What style is it?
It's rap.
Okay.
Hip-hop. I would call it more hip-hop conscious rap.
Interesting.
But they're really fucking good. Like, really good.
I have to give them a listen. I've been trying to branch out a little bit lately and kind of step outside of my usual comfort zones of music, and because I keep finding I have the same problem. Like if I have my earbuds in or whatever, I'll keep track skipping until I find something that tickles my fancy.
Yeah.
But that kind of shows me that it's like, okay, I'm getting tired of listening to these same songs. I need to branch out a little bit more and try listening to something different, you know. And I've been getting into Dax a lot lately.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of his stuff is actually really good. And I'm not like a rap or hip-hop fan. It's okay, it's just not my jam. But the things he writes about and the way he actually sings it and like puts more depth and things into it, it's like, this shit is really good.
Yeah. That's what, like, these guys are... It's almost... So I saw, like a year and a half ago, I saw a video that they posted on YouTube. And they've done an album, and I've listened to the album, and it's pretty good. After the fact, after I saw the video. But they were doing a freestyle, which, like, not in the typical, you think about freestyle where they're just making up rap or rhymes as they go.
Mm-hmm.
But freestyle, and where it's like a free verse, where it's obviously written, and then they're just doing it all live.
Yeah.
And it's not like a song, in a song format where there's a break and then a chorus or a bridge or whatever. But I saw this one video that they did, and they're all sitting around a table, kind of like this, and it looks like a podcast setup. And they just go through and each one take a verse and on a beat. And I was like, holy shit, man, who the fuck are these guys? And so then they started dropping one of those table sit-down verse things, freestyles, like once every 2 weeks or something like that.
No, that's awesome.
And each one was just like, blew my mind more and more. So I listened to it and like, oh, that was dope. And then go back, and then it's nice because they put the lyrics on the screen down below so you can see what they're saying. And every single line is so intricate where it's like a double or a triple entendre, and each line connects with another line that's like just in a scheme of whatever they're talking about, like word association. It's just crazy. But I've been listening to them, and I haven't listened to them for a while, and I was at the gym this morning, and I was like, fuck, man, why have I fell off of this shit? And I'm not a huge hip-hop fan either. Like,
what's funny is when you say you listen to their album, is that such a dead thing these days is listening to a whole album. And like, that's how we grew up. You know, if you got a cassette or a CD, you would listen to it like front to back, the way it was intended to be listened to. And more often than not, that album was just like a journey that you went on, or a story that needed to be told. Now it's just because of the ease at which we get music, where you can just kind of pick and choose what you listen to, or you'll listen to the hits, or the one that has a music video or whatever. But I'm an album track guy. Like, you could give me a popular artist, and they'll have like 3 hits off of that album. I want to hear all the other songs. I want to hear what else they have to say, not just the 3 hits that are playing on the radio,
right.
or even like in our age, what the 3 videos that are on MTV, like what is the rest of that album like?
Yeah.
And back then, when they made albums that were 12 or 13 tracks, you got so much content, versus now albums are like 10 or 11 tracks.
Right.
And to me, that's kind of lame.
It is, especially now where every song is like a minute 30.
Yeah.
Little short songs. Maybe it's just because people have this attention deficit thing that's created from watching YouTube or something. I don't know.
No, it's definitely from TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Because I'll watch a TikTok video and I know it's only like 20 seconds and I'm like, get to the fucking point!
Yeah. If you're going to make a song that's a minute and 30, or an album full of songs that are each a minute and 30 seconds, then at least give me like 15 or 16 tracks.
Yeah. And it's funny too, with that said, and talking about like these songs that have these great lyrical contents, I think about one of my favorite bands was Bush. I mean, it's still one of my favorites, but me and the music together haven't aged at the same pace, so it's kind of like their newer stuff is good, but it's not my jam anymore, kind of thing. Yeah. But like their first few albums, like that was poetry in a rock form, and I thought that was the coolest shit ever. I'll still go back and listen to those albums and like, holy shit, these are so good. Why didn't they just explode the way they should have? Yeah, I like lyrics that actually have depth, mm-hmm. and not just your typical kind of Taylor Swift pop music kind of thing. It just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, me neither.
Or even, I'm sorry to say, modern country is just, it's trash.
Yeah.
Because it's all, drinking beers in the back of my truck and riding a horse and shit like that. And it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah. I saw another YouTube video guy talking about music these days is like fast food music, where it's
great analogy.
Super easy to consume, but you shit it right out and it's done. Like, okay, yeah, that was easy to get through.
Yeah,
it's over. Like, but yeah, I'm the same way. I was always. I guess we're switching it. We're just going to talk about fucking music, dude.
Let's just do it. Fuck it.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up listening to everything. So I have 3 older brothers. I'm not old. I can't remember how many brothers I have. But whatever they were listening to is what I, kind of grew up listening to. So it was a lot of different stuff, but it was mostly a lot of hip hop and reggae stuff. Not much country, a little bit of rock, and so I always liked singing and stuff like that. My mom would listen to like Sade and Whitney Houston and stuff like that, and she was a vocalist, and so she'd always sing along.
Really?
Yeah. So she's like, her and her sisters have a little vocal group that they go and do all these like Polynesian things. So she would always be like jamming these like Whitney Houston, Sade, stuff like that, and singing along, and I would sing along with, because I'm just in the back seat, mm-hmm. jamming to Whitney Houston and Sade.
I could see you totally nailing that high note on "I Will Always Love You." I could see it.
I used to, dude. I would slam that shit, and tears would be coming out and everything.
You were thinking about Kevin Costner the whole time.
Yep. That was a great movie, actually. Bodyguard.
Right.
But yeah, so my mom was listening to that, and my brothers were listening to like fucking Will Smith and
getting jiggy with it,
Kid and Play, and all the old 90s, late 80s, early 90s rap. and then got into like Snoop Dogg and started going down that route. And then when I was like 12, 13 years old, like I'd always listen to like Bob Marley and reggae music, and I got this cassette player from the DI, and was working out. So I'd work out in my basement at my mom's house, and found this Bob Marley tape, and so I was playing that while I was working out, and I started actually listening to the lyrics of War,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, holy shit, man, he's really saying stuff. So it turns out that that song was actually a speech written by, or given by Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, talking about like how race shouldn't matter and, you know, everybody should be equal. But I was just like, holy fuck. And so I went through like all the songs and just listened to all the lyrics. Started writing them down and thinking about what it actually meant, what he was saying.
Yeah.
And then I just got hooked, and I was just like, songs should be about lyrics and they should be saying something. And so I started listening to all the stuff that I was listening to at the time, and realized that, yeah, you are listening to what they're saying. Subconsciously, it's taking root inside your brain, and it's like, you don't really realize it. Maybe at the time, it's almost like being hypnotized.
Yeah.
So I was, so then I was just like, I feel like certain music gives me a certain, or like a more positive feeling, and other music gives me more negative feeling, so I always lean towards more positive feeling music.
Yeah. It's funny when you talk about the like reading the lyrics and trying to understand them, and kind of going back to Bush, I did the same thing. Because like I said, a lot of those lyrics are very poetic, but a lot of them are written kind of obtusely, where they're written in a way that you have to decipher them on your own.
Right.
Where you can take this phrase that seems kind of nonsensical and break it down in a way that you understand it. And it made that music so much more personal because you could interpret it however you wanted to. And the message that the singer Gavin Rossdale is saying in his own song is personal to him, but open enough to interpretation that you could mold it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that was so cool, and I've never really seen anybody be able to do that since, or even before. Because, like I said, a lot of the phrases or the lyrics that you would hear, you go, the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
But that's where it lives in your head, and you think about it, and you like digest it in your own way and put it through your own prism and figure out what it means to you. And like I said, with their music kind of not aging with me, I've kind of fallen off of that because he's kind of gotten away from that in his writing. But just like those first 4 or 5 albums they did, where he wrote like that intentionally, was just amazing. And I could go back and listen to any one of those albums front to back right now, and I would still have that same feeling.
Yeah.
Because I do it, here or there. But I try not to water it down to where it's like I listen to it so much that I'm just like, okay, I'm bored of this.
Yeah. I think it's also really cool to take a break from something, even for a few years, and then come back and revisit it. And from your new perspective that you have now, listening to it and redigesting it.
Oh, absolutely.
And like, oh shit, that makes a whole lot more sense now that I've gone through something similar, or I've gone through this. This really applies to what I'm feeling now.
Absolutely. And looking at it through a different lens of maturity changes your perception, especially if it's like a band or an album or something you were into when you were, let's say, 13 versus, 30 plus years later, and what you've been through and what you've seen and what you know. Sorry, not 30 plus years, 20 plus years. And like putting it back through that different prism of, I am way older than that person who wrote that song was at that time, and being able to look at it from a different perspective of not your 13-year-old self, but as the age you are now.
Yeah.
it definitely shows you so much more than what you were able to ingest beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting where you see people like songwriters that or artists that have this huge catalog of material, and it seems like the stuff at a certain point in their career was just fucking golden. That was it, you know? And I kind of wonder if that's like an age thing, a maturity thing, or if it's like the part in their life where they're struggling to make it, or they're like, whatever it is. It seems like a lot of artists go through that, and then they get to a certain point, and then they kind of just like tapers off. You don't ever see an artist that just keeps on rising like that.
I think there's two factors that play into that, and I could put it to basically any artist. One of them is the like the money fame aspect of it, where you don't know struggles of a regular person anymore,
right?
And so you can't quite relate in the same way. So you look at it like Aerosmith going into like the mid to late 90s, like they made it a long time ago. They were good. They didn't have to write songs like Dream On anymore or anything like that. They could make basically pop singles or these big hits that were kind of for mass consumption. You know, or you think about that song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing that went to this huge budget movie, and it was a big summer blockbuster, and those two things were tied directly together. That song is great and all, but it doesn't show anything more than like surface level.
Yeah.
But you think about a song like Dream On or like Toys in the Attic or things like that, where they actually have a much deeper meaning and they have more connection to the audience because, again, you have that interpretation factor. Because they don't have the same struggles anymore. They're not like, fuck, how am I going to pay my rent this month? Or, you know, I'm struggling because I got to work and get the kids to daycare and school and blah, 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 or do all these other things. They just go, fuck, what are we going to write about? Like, the nanny's taking care of the kids and somebody else is mowing the lawn and shit like that. And the other part is hurt. I think artists do their best work when they're in pain. Yeah. It's just reality. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, maybe your pseudo relationship with this movie star or whatever didn't work out, so you can write about that, but you don't, a lot of them don't understand like real heartbreak or real hardship anymore, that they can't write from that deepest pit within themselves, and it makes their music just a little more watered down, I think.
With the struggle of breakups and stuff like that, why do you think that Taylor Swift's music always sucks then? Just joking. If you like Taylor Swift music, that's great. I think that, I don't know, honestly, I haven't really listened to any of it, so I can't really say it sucks or not.
I only know a couple of songs, and I don't know if she just turns out pop hits to keep her like status, and maybe deep down she's like, I really want to write better music. I want to write, you know, from my heart or whatever, but this makes money.
Yeah.
But then I go, you know, if you were probably a like better versed human being, you'd probably write better songs.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of Taylor Swift songs are like high school breakup type songs, and it's like some of them are decent, like Teardrops on My Guitar is good, but what's that other song? We're Never Ever Getting Back Together. That's her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just stupid. That song is so dumb.
It's like, yeah, that was cute when you were like 15, but...
Yeah, now that you're, you know, almost my age, it's time to change up your style a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this meme. What if Taylor Swift and Adele were in a relationship and it ended badly? Imagine the kind of music you would get.
Wow, dude. I wonder if they've thought about that. Just trying it out.
I think they should try it out. Film it, too. Maybe put it on OnlyFans.
For the sake of the music.
Yeah, for the sake of the music.
I know that fucking Adele would put out a monster album. For sure. I mean, that's a huge contrast between those two, where they're both kind of mega icons. One for writing these pop ballads or pop songs, and the other for just these emotional powerhouses. You know?
Oh yeah. So I was a fan of Adele really early on,
Right.
and I still am to this day. But I feel like her image has kind of taken over her music, where she's kind of like this boss bitch style thing, where she lost all this weight and she, is this like icon for femininity and all these other things, that it kind of overshadows the music. But her first 3 albums were fucking gold. What was it? 19, 21, and 25?
Mm-hmm.
Those are awesome. You can listen to those front to back and they're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Bruno Mars is another artist. Like, I wasn't really big into Bruno Mars because it was similar pop stuff when he first came out, and thought he was a really good vocalist. He's a really good singer. And then I think he's only done like 4 albums, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
But each one is almost a different genre, or I don't know about genre, but maybe time period.
Yeah.
So like he did one album that's, I swear, like 90s, almost like 90s mainstream hip hop.
Yeah.
Kind of feel. And then this last one that he did with what's that guy's name, the drummer? The Silk Sonic project that they did was all like 70s funk.
Interesting.
Have you listened to that
I
album?
haven't. No.
The Smoking Out the Window?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man.
I haven't heard any Bruno Mars songs for a long time. And I remember some of them were, admittedly, I thought they were terrible. Like that song, Millionaire. I Want to Be a Millionaire so fucking bad. I thought that song was so stupid.
Yeah.
But then he comes out with that song, I Should Have Bought You Flowers.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking banger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, do more of that. That's good. This Millionaire thing, forget about that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Silk Sonic project is him and, God, what the fuck is his name? I can't remember. But he's a drummer that's also like a singer and a rapper. And they did this project, and it's almost like a storyline. So I think there's only like 7 tracks on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with a song that's he's going out and trying to meet some chick. Meets her chick and starts falling in love. And then like the next track is like the relationship is there, kind of going good. Next track is something happens and they're like kind of breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And the next track is he's going to Vegas and partying. So it's kind of a storyline through the whole album.
Yeah.
Each song is a different stage in the relationship, it seems like. But it's a really good album.
Yeah.
Sonically.
I like conceptual albums like that, where it's like you have this big underlying theme, even if it's not a full like story, just going through that same kind of underlying emotion that every track has a piece of, but they're all different in their own right. I think that's so cool when it's done well. When it's not done well, it's like, this is a mess.
Yeah.
There was one of my favorite bands is Kitty, and they were like this heavy metal, all-female band, and they were formed at an early age. They were all in like their mid to late teens, and so their first couple albums are really heavy, really a lot of kind of scream metal type stuff, and then they came out with this album called Funeral for Yesterday. And they totally switched everything up. Instead of doing a lot of screams and growls and things like that, it's a lot of clean vocals. It's much cleaner guitar, things like that. And the band themselves say sonically that album did not come out the way they wanted to. But I look at that and I go, that's a fucking masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Totally subverted every expectation. Didn't play to type. Just went completely off the rails and was like, we're going to do this totally different thing. And it is kind of a concept album. It is heartbreak, which is what most albums are made out of. But you can hear that in basically every song. And there's a couple of standout tracks that don't play into that concept, but they play into another deeper theme. There's a song on there called Witch Hunt, and it's literally about like Salem witches being burned at the stake and shit like that. So you kind of get like a little break from it.
Yeah.
But that album was so good, and then the artists come out and say, it's not my favorite. And I go, that was fucking amazing. Like, if you had done more of that, I think you would have, shined a little bit brighter, maybe.
Yeah.
But you always get that kind of return to form album that a lot of bands do, because they'll branch off and try something totally different. Fans don't receive it as well, and then they get this back to form album, and it's usually just a fucking killer album.
Yeah.
And almost every band I've ever enjoyed does that same thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like a good and a bad. Like, you like the concept album that like branches out and tries something different, but you also love that comeback album.
Yeah.
It's just a win-win.
It's usually, so like when I listen to bands like that, when you have their stuff that they normally do and then they branch off and then it's an album that you don't really like, and then, or you don't care as much for as and then they come back and do this monster album like you're talking about. After you've listened to them all for a while, then you go back to that alternate one that sometimes that usually ends up being my favorite one, like just because it's like I've been listening to this and it's in the same lane, and then you just listen to this other one that
Mm-hmm.
but it's it's familiar, but then you're like, oh shit, okay now, yeah. But it's just maybe just that variation of, I don't know, for me it's refreshing, maybe.
It is, and I've thought a lot about this, strangely, because all of my favorite bands kind of do the same mold without knowing it's a mold. And a lot of bands really fail hard at this. I really think, let's say I was in a band and, we're taking off or whatever. You put out that first album. That's what draws people in. That's your pilot, So if you come out and you have this banger album and everybody loves it, your second album needs to be kind of in the same vein.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get people to buy it. And sometimes critics are going to be like, yeah, it's the same as the first album, whatever. Like, you're giving the customer the same thing that they wanted. Your third album, take it off in whatever direction you want. Try something different.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can even put it in the same terms of like movies, where if your first movie and your second movie are very similar but still unique in their own right, like, you're going to keep people coming. And then on your third one, that's when you can go, okay, we're going to try something totally different.
Yeah.
But a lot of bands tend to do their first album and kind of get like jaded about it because the fans want to hear this song or that song or whatever, and you kind of go, I want to do something totally different. You can't do it on your sophomore album. You have to do it later.
Yeah.
And more often than not,
more well established.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fucking legend. So yeah, I used to play in a band, and we made an EP, and it's like 7 songs. But I was talking to one of my cousins who was also a musician, so they were like the Jets back in the 80s. It was my cousins, and was talking to my cousin Rudy, and he's like, well, yeah, I was listening to the album, and sounds good. It's just there isn't like a cohesive theme of what style of music you guys play.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's what kind of music we play. Is like, they can't. When we listen to country and rock and reggae and all types of stuff, and when we play our shows, like we were playing like Leonard Skinner, Bob Marley covers, Sublime, Garth Brooks. Like, we were playing everything just because it's songs that we like, and so we play them.
Yeah.
And so that's what our album reflected, was kind of all these different styles of music that we like and we enjoy listening to. That's the kind of music that we made. So it was like funk and reggae. And
see, and I think that's awesome. Like, I would actually like to hear a band that would come out and have like different flavors. You know, it's if you're going to come out and do, let's say, a 13 or 14 track album, and you do 2 reggae songs and 2 country songs and 2 rock songs and so on and so forth, as long as you put the track listing in a way that makes it flow, it's going to work just fine. Yeah. But if you were just like, okay, no, 2, 2, and 2 and 2, you're going to go, okay, let me just skip track 1 and 2 because I don't like reggae. Yeah. I'm going to go right into the country ones or whatever. I think that'd be awesome. I'd like to see an artist actually do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, who else am I listening to right now? I can't sit. My kids have been trying to make me watch fucking JoJo Siwa's videos.
Hard pass. I actually kind of got called out on some music yesterday. We're Dolphin, and I was controlling the radio, and I played a couple of Post Malone songs. And I only know like 4 or 5 Post Malone songs. And Jordan's like, have you listened to this album? And I was like, wait, you know what an album is? That's incredible for your age. He's like, no, this is such a good album, and like, it's my favorite Post Malone album. And so last night I kind of turned it on and I listened to, the songs that I know off of it, and I haven't finished it. But I go, God damn, he was right. It's a fucking banger.
Yeah. Carrie listens to Post Malone quite a bit. But, yeah, he's a pretty fucking... And I assume he writes all of his own shit.
If he does, he's winning.
Yeah.
Because he... Like that song, Reputation, or Circles, those are awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw out a fun fact. And if Jordan's listening, it's going to piss him off because I keep throwing the same fun fact to him all the time just because I know it annoys him a little bit. Me and Post Malone have the same birthday.
July 4th?
Yeah.
Wait, are you guys the same age, too?
No.
Oh.
I'm exactly 10 years older than him.
He's, like, super young, huh?
Yeah. I mean...
22 now?
Yeah, something like that. Strangely, though, we look about the same age. That's because he's been living that rock star lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go wait for him over there at Cane's and try to get his autograph.
He seems like such a cool guy.
Yeah, he really does.
He's like the kind of guy you could just have a beer with and just hang out.
Yeah.
And not even think about like his celebrity status or anything. You just be like, oh yeah, that's my friend Post.
Mm-hmm.
Posty, or whatever the fuck they call him. I don't even know his real name.
Post?
Yeah. Fence Post?
I keep seeing videos of or clips of his very first song. Music video you ever did?
Oh, yeah, where he had like the cornrows and shit. And...
Well, this is like way back. I think in the video he's wearing like a American flag band.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah. And it looks like the worst high school production music video
looks
ever.
Like it's shot on a VHS tape. That's fucking dope, man.
Right? I bet he looks at that and goes, dude, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Even now, making these music videos with super high production value, he probably still looks at that and goes, man, that was so cool.
That was so sick. Check this out. Boom. That would be my fucking screensaver or something on my phone.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That'd be like my fucking Apple contact info.
Yeah.
So anytime I called or texted somebody, they'd have to see it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's fucking great. And that's another thing that I really have a hard time with artists is people that don't write their own shit.
Same. And I absolutely hate backing tracks on a live show. Like, you think I don't know the difference?
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Oh, yeah. Or they're like singing and they pull the microphone away and their voice is still kind of like, what the fuck?
Milli Vanilli lost their whole fucking career for that.
What are we doing, dude? People that can actually, I mean, I think that pretty much most everybody can sing if they try. Like, but if you're going to try to hold my attention for an hour, what are you trying to tell me? What are you telling me?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
You know that what you just said, I think most people can sing. One of my absolute favorite bands is Breaking Benjamin. And so the lead singer, Benjamin Burnley, he's not a great singer. He's really not. And I don't mean that in like a harmful or malicious way. He just doesn't have like the super great range or great depth of tone or anything like that. But the way he sings and the lyrics that he sings, that he writes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how skilled he is as a vocalist. The way he sells it and the way he like carries those lyrics and the lyrics themselves just sell the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I think the definition of being an artist is writing something and then decorating the music the way that you want to put it. Like every word is like a brushstroke. Like you're painting.
That's really
this
elegant.
picture.
I like that.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, so people that don't write, I really feel like people that don't write their own stuff, it almost feels in the song heartless. It almost feels like there's no heart in it. And so people that are singing their own lyrics know what they're talking about, know what the lyrics are about, and deliver them in an emotional way. They have an emotional connection with it.
Yeah.
So you can really feel that in bands that perform that way or, do stuff in that manner.
I agree. And there are exceptions. I'm sure some artists get another artist or a friend or somebody who comes up and says, hey, I wrote this song. I think you might like it. And then they play it and they're able to breathe a new life into it or, put their own spin on it kind of thing. And that works. But when you're like a Jennifer Lopez who doesn't write fucking anything, doesn't actually sing anything either, then you go, yeah, dude, your music it's not even your music.
Yeah,
you didn't write it.
Fast food music.
It's worse than fast food music. That's like if you found,
7-Eleven
if you found a taco in a parking lot, that's what that's like. She's atrocious. I can't stand her.
Depends on the taco, I guess.
What's been your favorite live show that you've went to?
I'd say it's a toss-up between Chris Stapleton and Tenacious D.
So we were at the same Chris Stapleton show.
Yeah.
And I've been to more like I don't want to say reggae, but I'll call it reggae, or like that kind of pop reggae kind of concert, like a 311 or Dirty Head, Sublime.
Like
Sorry.
SoCal dub rock.
Yeah, let me rephrase when I say Sublime with Rome. I never got to see original Sublime. And yeah, there's like always people smoking weed. Chris Stapleton by far and away had the most people smoking weed.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, if it's just like that kind of country outlaw thing where they're like, I'm gonna smoke a J while I'm listening to Chris Stapleton. It was a lot.
Yeah.
You almost couldn't even see the stage because there was just a big fucking cloud above the general area. It was incredible though.
It was, and it just blew me away that because they went up there and it was just 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Him on the guitar, his bass player, and a drummer. Then they had one guy come out and play another guitar on like 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah, there was a few. Anything that had an electric guitar backtrack, or I wouldn't even say a solo, it was more just a rhythm guitar.
Yeah. So I thought that was totally awesome to have a like a 3-piece or 4-piece and sound like there was 10 people up there, you know. And then his vocals live were just fucking insane.
Dude, his guitar playing is actually really good.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Like, when he went into Freebird and he was just playing the solo, I was like, holy shit, I didn't know he could do that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen that video of his, I Was Wrong. That song, I Was Wrong. A live version. And it's like 10 minutes long. Because he does this, like, insane fucking solo for like 3 minutes on his guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like jazz, country jazz style, so it's slow and melodic, but it's fucking pretty sick.
Dude, so when he, like, really burst on the scene with Tennessee Whiskey, and I'll fight anybody on this, the follow-up, like, hit that he had was Fire Away. That song is infinitely better than Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
But I, like, ran out and bought that album.
Yeah.
And at the time, I still had a car that had a CD player because I wanted to be able to listen to it, you know, while I was in transit. But that album is so fucking good. And then the very last track is Sometimes I Cry, where he basically does a solo with his voice. Mm-hmm. And it's like, holy shit, that was impressive.
Yeah.
And you never really hear people express their voice in that kind of range, like, ever. Especially with that type of lyric, where, yeah, 90% of it is him saying Sometimes I Cry, but the lyrics in between also really kind of just meld the whole thing together.
Yeah.
And it's such a big swing to go from Tennessee Whiskey to that song, but that whole album is just amazing.
Traveler,
yeah.
Yeah, that Fire Away is a fucking sad song, man.
Have you seen the video for that?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that shit breaks my heart.
Yeah. But I'd say Chris Stapleton, like we were talking about with artists being artists, I mean, he writes his lyrics, he writes the music, and then he decorates it with his voice that's just almost unmatched, like, in his versatility. Just, it's crazy.
Yeah, so, like, the only other artist I will actually compare him to is, like, Elvis, because Elvis's voice would slide all over the scale.
Yeah.
He would go baritone to tenor and back and forth. And Chris Stapleton does the same thing. It's just he has a different voice, so it's apples and oranges. Mm-hmm. But he has that skill set that not a lot of people have.
Yeah. Yeah, that show was fucking pretty insane.
That was definitely one of my favorites. I mean, all of my favorite live concerts have been Godsmack. Like, I'm the biggest fucking fan of that band, and literally everything we talked about with, like, a departure album and a return to form and making your first and second album in the same vein and all these other things, it all applies to them. But their live show, to me, is just unparalleled.
Yeah.
Because they change up their roster of songs, right? They don't always just do the hits. Sometimes they'll throw a deep cut or an album track in there, and it just throws you for a whole loop because you're like, fuck, I never thought I'd hear this song live. And then they do the whole drum battle where the singer gets on his drum kit and the drummer's still in his kit, and they battle back and forth, and they play snippets of these big popular songs across time that aren't even their songs. And then you have the more intimate, like, acoustic session or the piano session or things like that. But it's also getting the audience involved that really sells the show. Like, the last time I went and saw them, they brought all these kids up who were in the audience and, like, let them come up on stage and jam out to a song and shit like that before sending them back. And stuff like that is really cool, and it doesn't really even pertain to the music as much as it does the musician.
Yeah.
But it's like you want to be able to relate to that artist, that musician, by going, dude, if I was in his spot, I'd do the same thing. Yeah, I'd bring those kids up there. And even Ben Burnley did that. And I remember being at a Breaking Benjamin concert, and he's like getting all these kids pulled out of the crowd with, you know, like one of their parents or guardians or whatever, and they had two different sections on the stage where they could literally get behind this fence and watch the whole show from the stage.
That's cool.
And it was dope. And this went on for like 10 or 15 minutes. And I remember one guy being like, just play the fucking show. And I was like, dude, I'm going to beat this guy's ass. Like, this is awesome.
This is the show.
This is the show. Imagine being one of those kids.
Yeah.
And that's like a life-changing moment for one of them. And this one asshole's like, just play the fucking music. And I'm like, God, I want to beat the shit out of you so bad.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. And I would have loved to see, you know, I love that in the moment type thing that artists do while performing live. So when we were playing in our band, it was like, depending on how the night was going, how we felt, like we'd rehearsed all the music and stuff like that. You know, we had a set list, but we'd like call an audible, oh, let's change up, you know, let's do this song instead. The, you know, crowd is feeling, they're dancing. Let's keep them up here.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Or when you're playing a song, you start playing the song, and then maybe it feels like it's too fast for the vibe that's going on inside the area right then. So you cut it, restart the song a little bit slower pace, like, so you can just make an audible and play how the atmosphere feels at the time.
Yeah.
So it's like you're playing a little bit faster to keep people moving, or people are like swaying back and forth, so you're going to keep that tempo, like play a different song, but song that's usually a faster paced song, you just played it in a different way that's a little bit slower, a little bit mellow. You know, like that.
Yeah, you're just playing the vibe.
Playing the vibe, yeah. And that was, I love watching that. Like, that's what I liked about going to concerts, is just watching how performers perform, and the live antics of like the bandmates like talking to each other as they're playing.
Yeah.
And like, or you'll see like one person laugh and like look at the other person and smile like, oh, that guy fucked up.
Yeah.
Or missed a beat or something. But I love those like interactions on stage that you get to see in live performances.
Yeah, and it's also nice because you have this like hard line differentiation of like, you know that song, you know that track, you know that album, you know exactly how it's supposed to play out, and then it goes off script. And usually when they play it in like a fun way, it's way more entertaining.
Yeah.
Even one of the greatest shows you can ever go see is Metallica. And I remember it's kind of become a trope with the band where Kirk Hammett, I don't know if he's lead guitar or rhythm guitar. I think him and James kind of switch back and forth. But him and the bass player, Rob, they like do this bowl thing where they're like down on the ground really low playing their instruments, and they like bump into each other like a couple of bulls locking horns. And you're like, just moments like that are so cool because they're just having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like you're having fun too.
Yeah.
Just because you're watching these guys who you have this perception of that they're these professional musicians and they're coming up and they're going to play that song to the nines or whatever, and they're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
And it really displaces you from seriousness or expectation too. Yeah, shit like that's fun. Or even like when Godsmack does the drum solo, they pretty much end it by like flipping a drumstick in the air and trying to catch it, and then sometimes they don't catch it, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like one time I saw them, they both missed their stick, and then they had to jump out of their kit, pick up the stick from the ground, and get back up, play the final note, and call it. You know, and it's funny, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know who else does it? An absolutely fucking amazing live show is Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
Have you seen him?
No.
So the last time I saw him, excuse me, the singer Ivan Moody was working on his sobriety, like he had been in AA and all this shit for a long time. And he played a song that was like directly tied to that. And then he like stopped the song and was asking people in the pit, is there anybody else who's, you know, trying to get sober, trying to get clean or whatever. And he's got like this bat that he always has in all of his shows, which in hindsight, is just like mass produced, and he has a shitload of them. And he's like asking the crowd, who's struggling with sobriety or getting clean or whatever. And like one guy raises his hand. He's like, how long have you been, sober? And he's like, 3 months or whatever. He's like, I got your six, brother. And that's the song he played, was I got your six. And he gives him the bat. And it's like, how cool would that be to be able to leave that show going, I went in just thinking I was going to see this cool band.
Yeah.
And I got to leave with this thing that the singer gave me personally.
Very personal connection. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw in here that Spencer just gave me a CD of Salty Roots.
Yeah.
And so this is your 7-track EP.
Yeah.
So
that was recorded in what, 2003? 2007, does it say on there? I think it was at 2007.
I'm gonna post a picture of this one on my Instagram and shit, but there's some really fucking cool track names. Rise Up, Set Me Free, G-Spot, Babylon. Kind of gives me a little Sublime vibe there. Rivers of Babylon. I'm definitely going to listen to this.
Nice.
Is there videos or anything out there?
I don't, maybe.
Like on YouTube?
But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really looked. There might be. I don't know.
And that logo is fucking dope.
Thanks. I designed that myself.
Did you really? God,
Sure
you
did.
impress me more and more every day. I don't know if I should just be like constantly in awe of you or just feel like a piece of shit because I don't do anything that cool. But that's awesome.
No, you do.
No, this is, I'm actually really looking forward to listening to this. And on the back, there's a picture of the valley.
Oh yeah, open it up, dude. There's, we went and did a whole video or photo shoot for our album. So like, actually the front is all small pictures.
Yeah, I was looking at
a
that.
montage of all pictures. There's a pretty sweet picture of
Oh my god, the disc itself looks like a 45.
Yeah.
And that is so cool. Well, let's see here.
Does it actually unfold?
No, it's just one sheet.
Oh shit. I thought it opened up.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a whole day long of going around and finding places to take pictures at.
So this is how I know it's old, right? So right on the back here, there's a picture of 5 dudes. And I can't tell which one's you. Point it out to me.
That's me right there. Well, there's 4 dudes and the girl.
Get fucked. That is not you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, on the far left.
I
I was a much younger looking person with the pretty... Do I even have a beard there?
you got a goatee.
Oh, goatee.
It's funny because in this picture, you actually look Polynesian.
Yeah. Who's this Mexican guy? Oh no, he's Polynesian.
I remember that when it
There
worked.
is no salsa music on there. On the CD.
Thank God.
Unfortunately.
If there's one genre of music that I absolutely cannot stand, it's salsa.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't mind salsa music, like real Latin, like groovy salsa jazz type, but like the Mexican music that you hear at like the swap meet.
I was literally about to say this one. Boom, tee, boom, tee, boom, tee. God, that's atrocious.
I listen to it every once in a while. I'll just turn on the Spanish station.
I was giving T shit the other day because he absolutely hates the band Hollywood Undead. I kind of get it, kind of don't, whatever, it's your taste. And he will literally get triggered if you play Hollywood Undead. But then I passed by his spot the other day and he's listening to some of that Mexican swap meet music. And I was like, you know how you feel about Hollywood Undead? I feel the same way about the shit you're playing now.
Yeah. I think the only band that I actually listen to that's semi like that is a band called Ozo Motley. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. They play, it's like hip hop music mixed with a Latin vibe type thing.
Interesting.
But it's more, they have a rapper in the group that will rap, but it's mostly singing, like singing songs. And their vocalist is fucking dope. So their live shows are really cool too. They do like, each one of the members of the band will kind of take turns and they sing. Like one person will come up and start singing a song and then go and pick up a trumpet and play the trumpet and go and pick up the
that's
bass
awesome.
and start playing the bass. So they all kind of switch around on different instruments. Like the bass player put down the bass and go and play the keyboards for one song or two songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of their show, I've been to like 3 or 4 of their concerts, and every time the very last song, they slowly start, like one by one person will put down their instrument and pick up like a percussive instrument.
Oh, okay.
And they all have like a drum or like, you know, little clackers or whatever, and then they walk down into the crowd and walk through the whole crowd doing a song with just like, and then they sit down in the middle of the crowd and do a drum circle.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah. And then that's how they end their show.
Yeah, that's like the other bands that I mentioned. So like Bush nowadays when they do a show, and I don't know how he does it, the singer Gavin Rosdale will, and he did this at USANA. I have pictures of him because he walked right by me. And he like left the stage, ended up in the general seating in the lawn, and he's walking back to the stage while performing the rest of the song.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there a tunnel under there? How the fuck did that happen? And even Metallica, they do kind of a similar thing. They don't go out into the crowd. That band's way too big to be able to do shit like that. But they get out of the stage, rises these 4 like separate world percussion kits, and they all play at the same time. Moments like that, you know, it gets you a little bit more invested because they're getting away from what you thought they were going to do.
Yeah. Also, I mean, they could probably do that, recording that, but it doesn't make as much sense when you're seeing them doing it. Like, okay, this person is doing this person is doing that. When you're just listening to it, it's just percussion.
Yeah, no,
drumming.
You've got to have the visual with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's actually kind of a point I wanted to bring up was the visual aspect of music that's largely kind of dead is music videos.
Yeah.
You know, kind of growing up in that MTV, VH1 era, or even Fuse for that matter, where you would literally watch TV just to watch music videos. And I actually feel terrible for the generations afterwards who don't get to do that, because that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Especially the videos that had big production value, like you were watching a little movie for 2.5 minutes. To you know, these songs that you really enjoyed. It was so cool, and like I said, I feel terrible for the generations that don't have that.
I'm trying to, like, so I used to watch MTV all the time. Until they start, well, maybe even after they started just doing, like, fucking Jersey Shore and shit like that. But yeah, music videos, I'm trying to think of, like, one that really stands out. But
I could think of so many.
all I'm getting in my head are, like, booty shaking videos.
Well, you always had, like, those, the, like, morning wake-up style videos where they would play, like, the pop songs at the time, and it would cut between the music video and videos of people dancing around a pool and shit like that. Or Spring Break was the worst, because it was just all Spring Break stuff. And they would play the music, but not the music video, and you're like, I don't care about these people. I want to watch the music video.
Yeah.
There were so many, and I still vividly recall a lot of them. There's not one that like stands out as the coolest music video. There's one that actually stands out as one of the most interesting was Land of Confusion, where they had like the puppets.
I don't know.
I guarantee if you saw it, you'd be able to recall it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a crazy one because you never actually saw the band; you only saw the puppets, and it was just a really weird ass video.
Kind of like the what is it? The Gorillas.
Yeah, where it was
it's just
all animated.
Cartoons, yeah.
The first one of those I ever saw was Pearl Jam's song "Do the Evolution," and the whole music video was directed by Todd McFarlane in the Todd
really?
McFarlane style of animation.
Huh.
And that made it so cool because I was a huge fan of Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that like translate into a different form of media was so cool.
Yeah. I want to say one of the last music videos that I've seen that I thought was really cool was Silk Sonic. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak is the guy's name. But it's a video of their song. What the fuck? It's one of their songs, but it is just a recording of them in the studio, and so the video is shot as them in the studio recording the song, but they're also performing. It's like a performance.
Yeah.
And it's great.
That's how Godsmack did like 4 videos in a row of that same style.
Yeah.
Intercut between the studio filming and then the live performance of the same song.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool, but it's like 3 or 4 in a row is a lot. You know what video I was thinking about the other day? I was on the way home from work, and my playlist is always set to shuffle. And Date Rape came on by Sublime.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was driving, I was like picturing the music video in my head where Eric Wilson plays the date rapist.
Yeah.
And like the scene where he's in the jail cell, you know, and the lyric there is, now he takes it in the behind, and he's just like holding the bar, shaking his head. No.
What was the other one that they made a video of? Was it Santa?
So they had a video for Santeria, Wrong Way.
Oh, Wrong Way.
That was a cool one.
Yeah.
Santeria was the one that had
I don't know if I've ever
D-Bone.
seen that video in it.
Yeah, he had the guy who played fucking D-Bone from Friday in it.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Chinese Zeus Lister?
Yeah. And it was like set in like a Old West style kind of theme, and he had like a poncho on and shit like that. It's been so long since I've seen it. I guarantee I'm fucking it up, but I know there's a video for Santeria.
Yeah, actually, that was a dream you had.
It could have been psychedelics. God knows we can't do an episode without bringing that up. By the way, Blue Chew.
I mean, yeah, songs on psychedelics, like...
They hit different, dude. Holy shit, they hit different.
Yeah.
So my mom's going to be so proud. I remember the last time I took like a very large dosage of mushrooms, and I kind of did what I became accustomed to, like turn off the lights, whatever, and I had the music playing, and I remember I was tripping balls. I was gone. And the song Release Me from Pearl Jam came on, and you know how it's like a very not quite lyric heavy but voice heavy song. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit. And I can remember the imagery I had in my mind where like his voice could break mountains and destroy rocks and things like that. And I was like, that's so cool. And then I kind of got out of it and I was like, yeah, I was tripping really hard for that. But that was awesome.
He does not need a microphone.
No, he's just really loud.
His voice is powerful. Fucking Tenacious D.
Dude, Tenacious D makes the most fun music.
Oh yeah, dude, their concert. So I knew it was going to be entertaining, but like I said, like the antics and the visuals of the people interacting with each other on stage was just fucking great, dude.
Well, Jack Black is just such a high energy guy that you can't help but love him by watching him. Even if you thought his shtick was stupid or whatever, the way he does it is so captivating.
Oh yeah, and I think that. Well, I guess that Chris Stapleton, his show that everybody was singing along, but like Tenacious D, people were fucking like animated, like acting it out acting out the lyrics throughout the whole fucking stadium. Were just, people in the aisles gesturing to each other and random strangers just interacting with the songs together. It was like everybody was in this musical or something together.
It is funny. And do you remember the video for the song Tribute?
Yeah.
You remember the moment right before he gets into it? And he's like, but in the video he rips his shirt open.
Uh-huh.
So anytime that song is playing, and especially, while we're hanging out or doffing or whatever, and we get to that moment in the song, I pretend I'm pulling my shirt open too. That's how that music translates.
Yeah.
It's not just the music or just the video or just Jack Black. It's all of those things combined that make it that kind of experience that it goes further past any of those one things, because his energy, his passion towards it. And it's not like beautifully written poetry or anything like that. It's just pure fun.
No, it is. And that's, I think maybe I connect with that so much because that's how I will do stuff like on Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. I'll write Carrie a poem, and it's always starts out kind of sweet and then gets super sexual at the end. Or it's oh, that's sweet. No, it's not.
It's first line is dearest love. Second line is
let me see your butthole.
You don't always have to fuck her hard.
So maybe that's just my sense of humor where I want to be sweet at the same time as very vulgar, and I don't know. I think it's hilarious.
I think so too.
Yeah.
If that's what your personality dictates, just go with it.
Yeah.
And I have a kind of a fun memory with the Tenacious D song, and we went airsoft after work one night. And so I just told everybody, just, leave your vehicle here in the parking lot. You guys ride with me. I have all the gear with me and all that, whatever. We get to there, we do the thing, and we're on the way home. We're on the way back to the parking lot to drop everybody off. I was playing Fuck Her Gently by Tenacious D. And then so it's me and Scott and T and Sissy were all in, my truck and driving. And I turned the volume all the way up, and we all just harmoniously sang this song together, nailing all the fucking high notes. And it was just such a cool moment that you're you connected so well with this one song that's hilarious, and yet sang so heartfelt at the same time. And yeah, dude, it just, you kind of transcend all the other bullshit with other music with Tenacious D, because you can just disconnect from the seriousness and still connect in a meaningful way.
Yeah. Musically, the songs are well put together and fucking sounds like fucking a hit song. And then you listen to the lyrics and it's holy fuck. What is this guy on, dude? What is this guy on?
Whatever Jack Black is on, I need that in my life.
Yeah. I think he's just high on life, dude. But I think that he's his mom is a fucking rocket scientist.
Yeah, no.
She worked for the government.
So I read this story about that, and because I had heard the same thing, and I was like, no way. So I went and looked into it myself, and I'm not sure if my recount's going to be totally accurate, but it was she was part of the team who was trying to bring the Apollo 13 team members home after the malfunction. And she was working on stuff, and then went into labor, went to the hospital, gave birth to Jack Black, and then while they're taking care of the baby, she's finishing up these plans to help get these astronauts home.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got he's very funny, and it seems like he is very quick.
He's
that would be my guesstimation.
He's a different class of human.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while you'll see a person like him who has this incredible energy level and this incredible presence, and it's not matched to any like physicality, because he's kind of short, he's not a great looking man, all these other things, but he pushes past all that and he's himself genuinely. Because there's like Jack Black and there's Steve Irwin, and they're in their own class. They don't belong to anybody else. I mean, granted, Steve Irwin's long gone, but he had that same kind of thing.
To the dust.
He belongs to the dust. He's down there playing with alligators.
Steve Irwin, I mean, I was a huge fan of Steve Irwin. I always said every time I fucking watched this show, dude, this guy's going to get killed.
I think we all did. We just figured it was going to be like violently by an alligator. Instead, it was a stingray.
Yeah. So yeah, when that all happened, I was like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's sad.
Math checks out. But he was one of those bright humans too,
Yeah.
you know. So what's like, if you had to pick one genre of music that you would label as your favorite, what would it be?
I would say roots reggae, just because, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it just puts me in a positive mind frame, and it just, I don't know, it just sets my tone, or maybe it just
Vibrates on your frequency.
Yeah, vibes with my rhythm, I guess. I don't know.
You know, I don't like go out of my way to listen to reggae. But if it comes on, you know, like I have some reggae in my playlist, or excuse me, where we work, there's a lot of Polynesians, and they'll play reggae really loud. You can't help but listen to it. I've never been in a bad mood listening to reggae. It's strange.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Holy shit, that was a lot of carbonation. I like a lot of reggae adjacent stuff, like Sublime or Dirty Heads Roam, things like that. I mean, come on, you can't listen to Stand Tall by the Dirty Heads and feel negative about anything.
Yeah.
That's literally what that song's about. I get it. You know, it's very middle ground. It's very even. And yeah, it definitely has a very powerful vibrational frequency. Yeah, I'm definitely more of a hard rock.
Yeah.
Almost like bordering on like emo.
Yeah.
But not quite.
See, I like that stuff too. Like, I like the, because most of it in the, like, as you say, emo, it has emotion to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes when I'm at the gym, I'll put on some, you know, harder music, and it really sets the tone for, you know, what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing fucking legs or something, that I kind of rock out. But yeah, so that I've been playing the drums, and so I've been doing, there's these videos on YouTube that are just like drumless tracks, and it just goes through all different genres of music, and so I'm doing that, and just like one song will be country, and it's like a slow like
like a
swing type.
Yeah. Like a simple 8-note.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're like a 3/4, like like a swing. And then the next track is like disco funk. And so it's just like trying to get in different rhythms, just to train my brain to think in different timings or whatever. But
It's a funny thing when you think about the differences between instruments in music. And so I dabbled in drums years ago, and I still kind of get in and out of playing guitar, and I try not to just stick to one genre or whatever, because I feel like if you're going to be any good at anything, you have to diversify. So it's easy to sit down and play like a simple riff from a simple rock song. turn around and switch it to reggae, where you have to palm mute everything, but you have to play your chord very strong. Mm-hmm. Or go over to something a little bit more funk style, where it's kind of a half palm mute, half treble, and you have to have a lot more control. And then you also kind of put into perspective how the drums are played too. Once you kind of understand the basis of drums, you hear them very differently. Yeah. Versus what you think of like, dude, that double bass pedal was so awesome. Like, yeah, but did you hear the rest of what that guy did? That was impressive. Anybody can double bass pedal fast. It doesn't take much skill. It's the ability to work all of your appendages separately. Mm-hmm. And like Neil Peart from Rush, by far and away the best drummer ever. I'll argue with anybody. But his ability to basically like disassemble his arms and his legs to all do separate things at the same time was incredible. Yeah. And if you've ever watched him play, like, you don't even need to listen to the rest of Rush. You could just watch him play and you're mesmerized. Yeah.
He's got like a fucking 50-piece kit.
Dude. What was that? R27 or whatever it was, the documentary they did?
I don't know.
Where there's like a 15-minute solo of him just playing drums, and there's a shitload of pieces. Yeah. And all of everything is in business for itself.
He looks like an octopus.
Yeah. You're just like, how are you doing that? And even
dialing board or something.
Yeah. Because he's like, I'm going to put 7 notes on this snare over here, but then I'm going to come over here and just throw in 3 on this little timbale or whatever, and just like everything's all doing these different things. And have you ever read his book, The Ghost Rider? Mm-hmm. And he talks about in the book learning to ride a motorcycle. He's like, my whole life I've been used to.
Oh, Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
Oh, very. Thinking like somebody who writes music for somebody else.
No, it's actually really sad. I don't know if you know about Neil Peart, but his daughter died in a car wreck on her way home from college. She was visiting for Christmas and got into a car wreck and died. And like, him and his wife were so grief stricken, but not long after that, his wife found out she had cancer.
Oh wow!
And she completely disassociated from life. She was like, cool, I got a free ticket out. And Neil is trying to like, connect to his wife, and she's just like, I don't care, I'm dying soon. I don't want to be here. Not without, my kid, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful story because his wife ended up dying, and he had like no reason to live. He had no reason he wanted to live or even wanted to be here. And so instead of finding a way out, he found a way to live. And so he had this motorcycle, and he basically just like one day decided, well, I'm just going to get on my bike and I'm just going to go. And he went on, I can't even remember how many miles he covered, tens of thousands of miles, where he just went from place to place to place, kind of in search of a reason to live. And it was such a cool thing that he was able to do that instead of, take the short way. And granted, I learned that through Godsmack because they wrote a song about that book, mm-hmm. It's called Serenity. It's a really beautiful song. It's played on a 12-string acoustic, which you never see.
Yeah. That's what I learned to play on, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive. I don't even know good guitars.
I suck at guitar, but
still,
I learned to play on a 12-string. That was my first guitar. It was a 12-string for some reason.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah. It was just...
Maybe it was just sitting around?
Yeah, it was at my mom's house, and
I
picked it up and started trying to figure it out.
But yeah, going back to the reason I even brought that up was he had talked about in the book that even though he had spent so much time learning how to make his arms and legs do different things at the same time without connection to each other, he couldn't figure out how to ride a motorcycle. He was terrible at it. And I'm like, I can ride a bike. It's not that hard. But I can't play drums like he can, so it's fair.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, that sounds like a sad but crazy story. I might have to read that book.
Yeah, if you want to cry a little bit, you know, it's a good book to pick up.
It's like the, like Forrest Gump, where he just decides to go for a run one day and runs for
2 years or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really is it's a heartfelt story.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend reading it because it's his own prose writing, so it's him talking about his experiences. So it's not like he was like telling somebody else a story and they made it up. It's exactly his point of view, and just learning of like how he learned how to overcome and get past things, and like I said, learn to find a reason to live instead of going the other way was very powerful.
Yeah.
And even though that never really kind of transcended into his music in a way, because their music was always very uplifting or very musically challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It never had to do with like that sense of despair or pain or anything like that. It was Rush music is great, it really is, but you're not gonna like, you know, if you're in a hard place, you're not gonna go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go listen to Tom Sawyer because that's gonna help me. No, you're just gonna listen to that and go, dude, this is good.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely. I might, like I've said, I think I've said it previously on here, that I listen to a huge variety of stuff. And I firmly believe that, like, whatever you're listening to changes your frequencies. And so if you're constantly listening to, like, depressing stuff and, you know, emo music, you're probably going to be more emotional and probably be more on that side of emotion leading, you know, emotion heavy.
Sure.
And if you're listening to a lot of negative shit, you're probably a pretty negative person. I mean, you're going to have a pretty negative attitude just because it puts you in that mind frame. So yeah, so I listen to a lot of different stuff, and depending on what mood I'm in or what I'm feeling at that moment, I'll try to match that with, you know, with music.
I agree, and I do the exact same thing where I don't want to perpetuate or feed how I feel, especially if I'm in like a negative state of mind or if I'm feeling wounded or whatever. I don't want to make it worse, but I'm not always in I'm not on that frequency where I want to make it better, because you know, you have to learn how to sit with your feelings.
Yeah.
And so sometimes finding just the right music to keep that in a sense of like stasis for a little while is important. But making it worse in one side or the other is not always helpful, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're feeling depressed, you want to listen to a little bit of country and just kind of hold on to that for a minute. And sometimes you're like, no, I'm feeling a little down today. I want something uplifting.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel this way, so I need this to help me get there, you know. And that's where you're gonna listen to the Dirty Heads or you know, certain Metallica songs or whatever. You're gonna find what you need to get to that place you want to be.
Right.
And it's such a heavy influence on our lives that people just don't use that as the proper tool.
Yeah, I think it's a highly underrated tool for helping with situations. I mean, a lot of people use it for like yard work or, you know, working out or
Sure.
You know, and don't think that it can be used as a tool through every other activity in your life too. I mean, usually driving and you're listening to music anyways, might as well have something that's going to set your mood for what you want to be getting into, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And my playlist is funny because I feel like there's times where like I'm in a good mood and I'm uplifted and everything's great, and it's trying to feed me sad songs. I'm like, nope,
skip.
get fucked, nerd. Or or vice versa. If I'm feeling a little down or whatever, and then my playlist is like, here, listen to Stand Tall, or Garden Grove or something like that, and I'm like, you win. I'm good.
Yeah. What I have been doing lately, actually for probably about 2 years now, 3 years, is I'll find a song that I like and then watch it so many times or listen to it so many times, and then now there's YouTube videos of people reacting to those songs.
Oh, I love that shit.
And just watching them react in the same way that, it brings me back that feeling of like, fuck yeah, that is a great moment in that song. They saw it. They fucking found it.
Yeah, right? Like, the number one song for me on that, and I'll still have videos pop up in my YouTube to this day that are brand new, is a song from Slipknot called Snuff. And it's a very sad song. The video is kind of fucked up and almost unrelated to the song. It's still entertaining, but the song is very sad. It is about heartbreak and all that. But what I find enjoyable more about the song now is watching people react to it for the first time versus having heard it for myself the first time. And I go, I remember how it made me feel, and I remember kind of using that song as a crutch in a way to help me get through times or whatever. But watching other people kind of get that heartbreak from listening to it for the first time, you're like, your turn, fucker.
Yeah.
Even though lately my playlist has been trying to fight me and like, hey, listen to this song. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I was telling T he needs to do a reaction channel on YouTube. Just listening to him breaking down a song, and then just because he's very like, let you know what he's feeling at the moment.
Oh,
when
100%.
it happens. And so I think that he would be fun to watch, just looking at, videos and giving his take on what it was. Yeah,
and with his sometimes over-the-top reaction, it would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this. He's probably going to get mad at me. I'm going to say it anyway. With his love of food, put any food-related song in there and see how it goes. Like, if he listens to Burritos by Sublime, he's going to be like, they didn't fucking talk about burritos not once.
Why is this song called Burritos?
And then you see...
I'd watch that channel, dude.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd fucking produce it for him. It'd be great. Yeah. And it's funny, when you think about, like, the healing properties of music, or even, like, you said listening to certain songs at the gym or whatever, and people don't realize that vibrational frequency does play a huge factor. And I look at a lot of the younger guys I work with, and they listen to almost exclusively rap. And a lot of rap these days is garbage.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking terrible. And it's about that kind of, like... I think of it as the worst part of Tupac's rap, where it was like, I fucked your bitch and gang shit and this and that. And a lot of that still perpetuates that. Even though Tupac was a really good artist, that was the worst of his music. Mm-hmm. When he went on about anything else that actually mattered, he was so good. But yeah, these younger guys, they listen to this and they're kind of bitter and they're angry at life. And it's like, you've only felt the tip of life's dick.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start changing your frequency a little bit.
Just wait until you push back a little bit.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I agree. Like most of mainstream hip hop is just fucking trash.
Yeah, that whole mumble rap thing that was going around for a while. Like, you guys are actually listening to this, right? You're not really deaf? Because I hear this and this is hot garbage.
Yeah.
I would literally rather listen to Taylor Swift versus... It's like listening to Ty talk. I don't mean that offensively. Ty's my boy, but he mumbles a lot.
And I mean, if he hears this, he's got to know that. Yeah, every time I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah.
Enunciate, bro.
Sorry, I have to ask you like 3 or 4 times to. What did you say?
You know who like the king of not enunciating lyrics is fucking Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam.
Oh yeah. I think that became kind of a style around, what was that, like late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
Somewhere around there. I know what he's saying, but I've been listening to Pearl Jam like the better part of my life. But so it's like, to me, I get it. Mm-hmm. That's his style. It's unique. It's different. But yeah, I've had to take the sleeve out of the CD and read the lyrics while listening to it to really understand it.
I think that, he's probably one of the worst ones. I mean, best ones at that style, I guess you can say. But there's a lot of songs around that time frame that there are sections in the song where it's like, what the fuck are they saying? And it's, and so you see these videos of people saying their interpretation of what they thought those lyrics said.
Have you seen the shirts? You know the song "I Miss You" by Blink-182?
Yeah.
Have you seen the shirts? It says like, "Don't waste your time on me." Because the way he says, he's like, "Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head."
Yeah, there's no. That's all just one word.
Yeah. And it's like, there's a weird juxtaposition between vowels and consonants there that just doesn't quite make sense.
Could almost be Japanese if you sped it up real quick. Don't waste your time on me. You're already a voice in my head.
Don't get me wrong. I love that song. It's actually a really cool song. But yeah, the way he sings it, you're just like, nobody in the studio was like, "Hey, Tom, let's maybe try it in a different inflection."
No, I mean, and it seems like that became his style. I don't know. Maybe it's just that song that just plays in my head constantly when I hear Blink-182.
No, it's definitely that song. Maybe even that album. Admittedly, I haven't listened to that album all the way through. But the ones that came before that, I did. There was... the one before that was called Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And then there was the other one before that, Enema of the State. Like, those are good albums. And he, for the most part, enunciates when he sings and shit like that. I think that day maybe he was just drinking too much or something and totally phoned that one in. It works, but I get it. It's got problems.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how much of that is... So he's got the song written, and then they go to play it, and then he just starts playing with how his diction or whatever.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's like his guitar strumming and his singing are kind of on the same level. Yeah. Have a weird kind of staccato movement to him where he's like trying to time his singing with his strumming, and it doesn't function correctly.
Yeah.
Which, credence to all those singers who play guitar at the same time and can keep 2 different notes. And like, I'm not a huge fan of Nirvana. I never really have been. I always thought their music was like really overrated. But the fact that Kurt Cobain could play a completely separate note on his guitar than what he was singing was always impressive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but their music is just not that good.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody that can play pretty much... Oh, dude, I think the craziest thing is when people play bass and sing at the same time.
Which is actually really rare. You don't see that a whole lot.
No, like Primus, I think the lead singer from Primus is the bass player, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Same with Rush.
Yeah. Just the timing of the bass, and usually the rhythm of the song is like where the vocals are going to sit, and then the bass is kind of offset from the rhythm, or almost playing opposite. So you're like playing the opposite of what you're singing, timing wise.
Yeah,
that just fucks with my head big time.
It definitely blows my mind, and I think maybe it's just because we have this kind of like archetype that the singer should play guitar, because 90% of the bands I enjoy where the singer plays an instrument, it's a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But once in a while you'll see a singer who plays a different instrument and you're just mind blown by it. Like, have you ever heard of the band Skillet?
Mm-mm.
They have some of their popular songs are like Awaken Alive, Hero, what's that other one? Monster, so on and so forth. But they have two singers. I can't remember what the male singer plays, whether he plays guitar or bass, but then the female singer plays the drums while she's singing. Or even like Sum 41, where the drummer is singing while he's playing the drums.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of awkward to watch them because they're like trying to play over here and talk to the mic at the same time,
Right.
which just looks uncomfortable.
That also seems fucking... To have your mind working on two levels at that high capacity of like, okay, you're remembering the lyrics, you're singing on tune or in tune with the melody, and all four of your limbs are working at the same time. That's like,
you're playing on like 5 different levels.
Yeah.
Because you've got one foot working like the hi-hat and one foot working the bass drum, and your two hands are working 2 different drums at the same time, plus you're singing, and your higher level brain function is controlling all of those things simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, that's impressive.
Bring that guy to the gangbang, dude.
Hashtag Blue Chew.
Hashtag Blue Chew.
You knew we couldn't do it without talking about Blue Chew.
Yeah, we got to make the ad where you're playing the drums and you got your hands on your head and the drums are still getting played.
Oh my god.
Wicked drumming, man. Hey, thanks, man. I'll give myself a round of applause.
But you're still
drumming.
You're still keeping like a 16 speed. You're just like. Oh my god, that'd be great.
Thanks, Blue Chew.
So, like, as you've matured, do you think your sense of musical taste has changed?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I mean, I still listen to stuff I listened to when I was younger. Or I should say, the stuff that I still listen to that I listened to when I was younger is stuff that is more timeless and has more depth. And like all of Sade's music I'll listen to at any time because just her voice is fucking crazy. But yeah, like I said, we were listening to Will Smith and, you know, those 90s rappers and shit. I don't listen to that shit anymore.
No.
It was cool at the time when I was, 12, 13 years old. Or like 9 years old, listening to Parents Just Don't Understand by, what was it, The Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff?
Yeah, Jazzy Jeff.
I mean, yeah, that was cool then, but it's not timeless. It's not.
No, it's not. There's certain things that when I kind of first started listening to music, I didn't like then that I like now. And then there's certain things that I listened to then that I don't like anymore. And like I mentioned, Tupac. Back then, I didn't give a shit. It wasn't my jam. I didn't really care for it. Even though I lived in that area where it was that kind of East Coast versus West Coast vibe and all that, I didn't want to buy into any of it. Yeah. Now, as I've gotten older, and I can listen to a song like Dear Mama or Hail Mary or anything like that, and I can connect with it a little bit deeper because I realize it wasn't about the gang violence or, I fucked Biggie's wife or anything like that. Like, this music meant something, and I couldn't see it at the time because I wasn't mature enough. Or even now where I connect a lot with like old Motown. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get it then because you didn't know about love or loss or anything like that. But now that I've kind of been through that on a few different cycles, I go, oh man, this music is so much better now.
Yeah.
It actually makes sense. I can feel it, not just listen to it.
Yeah. And I think that that's what, like, a lot of that music from Motown, to me, seems like timeless music because it's relatable pretty much at any time frame, time period, I should say. Just as relevant now. You know, you listen to the lyrics and it means just exactly the same as it did back then.
Yeah, and when you say timeless, that's a perfect phrase, because you could look at you can look at it through the ages of Motown, where you kind of have basically 5 decades. You know, you'll have like a Bobby Womack in one decade, and a Luther Vandross in another, and a Boyz II Men in another, and it all has the same feel to it, and it's all powerful in its own way.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to connect to Motown, and I don't know why people don't do it more. But the music is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely feel it a lot more now that I'm much older, and
it's grown folks music.
Yeah, grown folks. Like, you know when somebody's mature when they're listening to Motown.
Yeah. And that's another huge thing that you know, we listened to, like, the Motown greatest hits, like all the CDs they had out, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what we listened to.
And the CDs would, like, break it down into decades.
Well, back then it was records and then tapes and then
CDs and yeah. But it's like they would try to break it down into different decades.
Uh-huh.
But Motown is so transcendent that you could take 2 tracks from the 50s, 2 from the 60s, 2 from the 70s, 2 from the 80s, and 2 from the 90s, scramble them or shuffle them, put them on one album, and you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
You'd just be like, this is all so good. You don't think about, oh shit, this song is like older than my parents.
Yeah.
You just go, that's a damn good song, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There's artists in Motown. And it's crazy because, I mean, so many huge artists came out of Motown. But you don't recognize a lot of that music was all played by the same band. Played, all the instruments were all the same people for decades. And they don't get recognized for that. And there's a documentary about those.
Really?
That didn't really get fortune and fame. They were just the studio musicians for Motown that just played on all these fucking legendary artists' records. You know, they produced the music, and then the artists would come in and sing the song.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've written the lyrics and sing the song and make it
interesting.
Huge hit. But a lot of the people that played played the instruments are all the same people.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah,
I would have thought it was like Luther Vandross had his own band kind of thing, like kind of in that 50s era of like Elvis and Johnny Cash and stuff like that, where they had a band, but the main star of the show overshadowed everything. That's kind of what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out. What's it called?
I think it's In the Shadow of Motown or something like that. But it's about like one of the. Well, it kind of goes through like talking to all the different people that were the backing musicians for Motown for a long time.
And that's kind of sad because they're the real artist.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of it was like they would get a song, I don't know who would write the song, and then write out the sheet music for it, and then have everybody that plays the instruments just record the... That's what most studio musicians do, is they just are there to play whatever the sheet music is for that song.
Well, hopefully they still get a big cut.
I don't know.
Because it's tragic to watch like Taylor Swift be a multi-millionaire, but all these legitimate musicians aren't making fucking peanuts.
Yeah. Or like the label gets all the money, and then...
Yeah, and I think that's where we're in a completely different age where the labels don't mean nearly as much as they used to.
Yeah.
Where you would have, Virgin Records or Trauma Records or whomever, and they're running the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Versus nowadays with the internet and social media and everything, where artists can actually get their stuff out. And I found more bands on like TikTok and Instagram than I ever found like in the 90s growing up, because in the 90s or even in the early 2000s, even till like recent future or recent times, where you were just kind of fed what was on the radio or what was on MTV or whatever.
Yeah.
But now with the advent of social media, I found so many awesome bands that are literally just touring around playing clubs and bars and things like that, but they have amazing music.
Well, I think it's super possible to just be 100% independent, like what's his name? Rapper Tom McDonald.
Oh yeah, Tom McDonald. He's fucking awesome.
He's got a huge following.
Have you heard that song "White People Shit"?
Yeah,
I love that.
And all of it is all pretty much guerrilla marketing, and him and his family are the ones that put all of his shit together and send out every single CD that he has that people purchase. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's not like wealthy, but he's well-to-do enough that that's his job now.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to go work at a Hexel and then try to do his stuff at night or on his days off or whatever. Like, and that's awesome. And there was another band that I found. It's called Grey Wind. It's this Irish band, and they have like 2 full-length studio albums, but they're still just doing like clubs and bars and things like that, because they're not owned by any record label, but they own all their own music. So when you listen to that on Spotify, and they get so many clicks, and then they get $1 per X amount of clicks or whatever. So when you listen to that, you're paying the artist directly.
Yeah.
Spotify gets a little piece, but it's not like it used to be, where the label got 65% of your earnings and you didn't own your own music.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago, James Hetfield from Metallica was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about, we finally made enough money that we were able to buy our entire catalog of music. And up until that point, I didn't realize that artists didn't own their own music.
Yeah.
Like when the record label produces it, it's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, that was such horse shit. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad it's the way it is. There are certain things we've sacrificed in the long run, like not listening to an album front to back the way it's intended, but we still get the music.
Yeah.
And we get it in a better way, and the artist gets paid better that way.
I can't remember who it was. I want to say Michael Jackson. If I remember correctly, it was Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney, where like they did the song "Beat the Girl Is Mine" together, and something happened, and then Michael Jackson went and bought part of his catalog, and so now he owns the catalog or something like that. It's like, that's fucking petty on a different level.
Michael Jackson was kind of a savage.
Yeah.
He fucked some people over.
Yeah. Smart though, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he allegedly died wealthy, so he did something right. But it's like Scott says, nobody becomes a millionaire by being nice.
True.
So with that said, who's like all time, and it could be a band, a group, or a single musician, whomever, who's like your number one all-time favorite?
Have to be super cliche and just say Bob Marley. Just because
that's not cliche at all.
His message and his whole... When these guys created their own genre of music and took it worldwide, it was like Time Life magazine said that one of their albums was the best album of the 20th century or something like that. But yeah, just the feeling and the message in his music, and coming from where he was from, and the circumstance that he was born into, and taking it to a world stage and putting his music out there the way that he did. I think that it was just amazing.
Yeah, there's a reason when you mention words like peace and love, you can also whisper Bob Marley's name in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And it fits.
Yeah.
Because admittedly, I'm not like the biggest fan, but whenever I listen to Bob Marley, I'm like, God, this is fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, it goes so much further past just making music or just making a message. It's very encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful.
Yeah. What about you?
So my like all-time favorite musician is Sully Erna. He's the lead singer for Godsmack, and he also has his solo career. And his first solo album is so good, where that actually kind of changed my perception of music as a whole. Where I always thought you listened to music versus after listening to that album, I realized you experience music. And then I would encourage anybody to literally just put on that album, listen to it front to back. It's so amazing. Mm-hmm. And when you compare that to what he does in the band Godsmack, it is not even close to the same thing. There are certain rhythms and things like that are vibrationally the same, but it's totally different. But part of the reason I'm so attached to that band Godsmack is because of all the music I listen to and all the bands that I'm a fan of. That's the one that I have aged with, even though they're all older than me. It's kind of strange. Like each time one of their albums comes out, I'm in a different place in life where something has happened or something is about to happen, and I'm not like equipped to deal with it. But that album, whatever it is, seems to be perfectly in tune with what I'm going through, and it really kind of has helped me get along. And even with the last one that came out earlier this year, where I was in life, and then this album came out, and it was like there's so many songs that really are direct parallels to what's going on with me and how I'm feeling and what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And it's just strange the way that that's worked out.
Yeah.
And those lyrics and those, the music itself has really kind of helped get me through. And like I said, we matured kind of together. And now that they're kind of coming out and saying like, yeah, we're not going to do any more studio albums, I'm like, what the fuck's going to happen to me? That means either everything's going to go right or I'm going to die, one or the other.
Looks like you're done cooking there, bud.
Yeah. And even the last album, there was some... The album's called Lighting Up the Sky, and that's the title track. And the title track is talking about how he missed out on a lot of his life, and all of these things went wrong, but he was so busy lighting up the sky, like bringing his music out and his gift and things like that, that it's okay because I made this sacrifice to do this thing that I cared about so much, and it made him better in the long run. Even though, he had to endure all these different things, he still was able to give something out to other people. And I thought, fuck, man, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And then, there's an extreme heartbreak song in there that really kind of parallels my own life, too. So it's like, man, I really kind of want to stop listening to this, but every time I think I'm kind of like ready to gravitate away, you guys pull me back in, and you guys are good. It's not fair. And again, the live show is so cool.
Yeah. And
like all the guys in the band have these great personalities, and like even their side projects outside of Godsmack are so good that it just draws you in even more. But yeah, that album, I'll have to send it to you on Spotify. Definitely give it a listen.
Well.
But yeah. Music is a great thing.
Yes, it is. I mean, like we said earlier, it's a highly unutilized tool for a lot of different things, and often overlooked as such.
It is, and that's one of the things that when Sully Erna was doing the tour for his first album, he would kind of close out the show by saying, "Music is a gift, take it home with you." And that always stuck with me. But my kind of final thought on the whole thing was, I remember reading this quote from Dave Grohl, where he talks about pop music is great. It tells you everything's cool, everything's okay, it's fun, ba-biddy-ba. Rock music is different. It tells you everything's not okay, but it will be. And that's always stuck with me, and that's kind of why I gravitate the way I do with music, is because I like that sensibility that, yes, things suck or things are hard or difficult, but they'll be better. That's just the way it goes.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end there.
I think so. This was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went music and not just freestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just, we planned it freestyle. Yeah, we did plan. We started out freestyle, and just went, music took over. No, that was good.
Yeah. Thanks, Boo.
Thank you.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.